I love them. I can't wait for the next book in the trilogy and to see how this fabulous series ends. And so I just wanted to talk about it. Chances are there's going to be some spoilers, maybe on both books, maybe only on Unblemished, because I am going to be talking about Unraveling, and without talk, I can't really talk too much about Unraveling if I don't talk about Unblemished at all. It's just the nature of the books. So if you don't want to be spoiled at all, maybe get your hands on the books, read them first, and come back to see what I thought about them. And hopefully you love them as much as I do, because I really like them, and I'm really happy I discovered this. And what made me pick up Unblemished when I first heard about it is I had seen Trina at Between Chapters reviewing it, and she is friends with Sara Ella. They are two booktubers that met on BookTube and became friends, and so I think that's pretty cool. However, Trina described Unblemished as being very similar to Once Upon a Time, the TV show, and around the time I had seen her review on Unblemished is when I had binge watched the entire series on Netflix and got into it for the first time last year. And so I was like, ooh, I love this. And so I bought Unblemished for both myself and my friend Mika, who loves Once Upon a Time and has watched the series multiple times on Netflix and is really into it. So I got us both the books for Christmas, and then once that came out, pretty much shortly after reading this, I pre-ordered Unraveling and have been waiting for quite a few months to be able to read Unraveling while I was waiting for it to release. So quickly, I'm going to tell you what Unblemished was about. Unblemished was about Aliana Embers, and her mom dies at the beginning of the book, or at least she thinks her mom's dead. And after her mom's death, her best friend, or only friend / crush or boy she loves, is made like her legal guardian, and she's really concerned about, really wondering what's going on and how that happened. But her life quickly goes from being ordinary and dull and feeling out of place, to being swept up into this whole different series of circumstance, discovering that her mom's not actually dead. Her mom tries to save her from something happening and kind of succeeds, but kind of fails. And so a good portion of this book, Elle is looking for her mom, or wanting to free her mom from Jason Crow, the villain, who happens to be the, why can't I think of the word? He holds the void in him, which is the darkness. He's the vessel of the void. And so, she's trying to save her mom, and everybody else is looking at her. She has this giant birthmark on her face, and she's always felt that it made her hideous. She's always worn her hair down over it, because she always felt, she never liked the way she looked, and felt embarrassed by her birthmark. She gets to she ends up going to the second reflection. She's from the third reflection, or otherwise New York. This book universe is made up of 7 reflections, one of which includes where we live now in New York, and then the second reflection is basically a copy of New York, except different at the same time, so there's parallels to it, but it's different. And within these different reflections, people have callings. There's, I want to say, 7 of them, and she learns different things about people's callings, and they're basically, magical powers. The boy crush guardian, Josh, he's an Ever, which means that he can't die, or he can, but it's very complicated to kill him, and heartbreak, he's gonna die of heartbreak, he's not gonna die from conventional ways of dying. And so people see this birthmark in the second reflection, and they want her to save them, and so she has to go and save them. You know, like, they all have designs on what she should do, and it also means that there's people out there that want to kill her, you know. And so there ends up being a love triangle in this book. I think it's really well written, and a lot of times it's kind of not okay with the love triangle aspect, but I think it's really well written in this. I'm definitely Team Kai. I'm not sure how many people would be Team Josh, especially after the second book, but, like, I'm Team Kai. He's awesome. He's a sweetheart. He doesn't seem like it at the start of Unblemished, but he really turns around, and you also find out that, you know, he was kind of being forced to do the stuff he was doing, and he has a younger sister that he was trying to protect or keep alive and trying to find her throughout. So, like, you know, he was really concerned about his sister. And he also had consumed water from this fountain, or, like, river, fountain, something, this threshold or something that contains water that, you know, comes from the void and tends to taint a person, you know, and make them evil. And so he has that and has been doing a good job of suppressing it and his good side winning out, you know, and so keeping his humanity to him. But like I said, this book has a love triangle. I know people aren't a fan of love triangles most of the time. I can understand where they're coming from. A lot of times it's poorly done or it's overly done, but I really think it's well done in this book. And Eliana is really focused on her mom in this book, and so, like, I feel like you feel that she, like, you don't get to see too much of her mom actually physically in the book, but you know, like, Eliana cares about her, and throughout the book she, like, ends up hearing her mom's voice in her head with, like, encouraging comments and stuff, and it's all based off of things that her mom had said to her in the past that help her deal with the situation that she's in. So I think that's pretty cool. And I gave this book 5 stars. Like I said, they're both 5 stars reads. I found them really enjoyable. It's Sara Ella's debut novel, and I think she did fantastic. And then, let me talk about Unraveling. So this is Unraveling. I love it. I don't know, like, it's still a 5-star read, and I kind of feel weird that, but it worked really well, and it did. Like, it wasn't written poorly or anything, you know? But it was at first when I discovered that it was more than just Eliana's point of view, which in Unblemished, I'll say that real quick. In Unblemished, you're reading from Eliana's point of view, except for the last little bit of the book. There is a little bit from Kai's point of view, and then, like, right before he takes off to go find his sister, him and Josh are talking and having a conversation, and then it goes right back to Eliana's point of view. And so, like, most of the book is told from her point of view. And I would say Unraveling is still mostly from Elle's point of view, but you also get some of Josh's, or more of Josh's point of view, and then a little bit of Kai's. Like, Kai's point of view is very little, and I would have liked to see more from his point of view. However, we see more from Josh, but for most of the book, Josh isn't with Elle. Kai is with Elle, and so that may have something to do with it. And also, like, both Josh and Kai ended up taking on the void, like half the void in the first book, and Eliana became the Verity's vessel, and so, you know, Kai already had been struggling with having the void living with him for years now, whereas Josh is just dealing with the struggle and maybe has a little bit more complications to deal with that, and he's really jealous of Kai for various reasons, but mainly because he knows that Elle loves him more, or is drawn more towards him, and so he has jealousy that is really feeding the void within him, and he was doing well at first, but he started making some poor decisions that just go way overboard and really made me mad. And hopefully, like, I never really liked his character too much, you know, but like at the same time he had redeeming qualities, you know, like he does seem like he'd be a nice sweet boy, but you know, especially without the void living in him and, you know, tempting him to do worse than he was already doing. But I really feel like if he'd get over his, like, being hung up on Elle, that, and he'd have some redeemable quality, and it seems like Sara Ella might hook him up with Ren if she does decide that he has a redeemable quality. I'm hoping she does, because, like, before all this other stuff happened, and he does some atrocious stuff, I'm not even going to deny it, it's really atrocious, and if it wasn't, like, a fiction universe, I would say there's no redeemable quality, throw him in prison, you know, but it is fictional, and there are other elements that are affecting his behavior right now, so hopefully Sara Ella gives him a little bit of happiness. It's just not going to be with Elle, because Kai and Elle belong together. I'd really like to see that. I do feel like Sara Ella infused some of her own, like, personality into the book, because, like, there's a point where it's coming from Joshua's point of view, and he's getting on his horse, and his horse is named Champion, and she's like, the horse's name is Champion. It was something along the lines like, a horse named Champion just because, you know, like, this is my book. I can write it however. It can be very Disney-fied, silly little, like, you know, maybe even a little cliche. I don't care. I'm gonna do it because I want to, you know? And I liked it. I thought it was awesome, you know? And she mentioned songs and, like, Disney movies quite a bit in this, and relates stuff. Ella's really into music. I didn't mention that in Unblemished, she discovered she's a mirror, which means she has qualities that reflects each of the 7 callings, and she's really super powerful, and the reason she got it is the person within the Verity bestowed the power upon her. Even though she's now the Verity's vessel, like, she still, for some reason, has her mirror calling, and that hasn't really been explained, but maybe it will be explained. However, you know, like, they're really fun and interesting, and I can't wait until the 3rd book, and I don't want to give away, like, the ending. I probably already said quite a bit about this, but, like, you discover more about Kai and Elle's relationship, and you just root them on throughout the book, and, you know, they go to you see a little bit more of the other reflections. They go to the 4th and 5th reflection. They mention that the 7th and the 1st, like, the only way to get to the 1st other than dying is to go through the 7th reflection. I don't know what's in the 6th reflection at all, but, like, I'm looking forward. I'm guessing, like, 6th, 7th, and 1st reflections will be explored in the last book, hopefully. And then you also get a little bit of the origin of the Verity and the Void within the 2nd book, and get to see where it's coming from, and I liked it. I loved it. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I will reread these books at some point. Probably when the 3rd book comes out, I'll probably read them again if I don't read them sooner. I know I rambled a bunch. I hope you guys enjoyed this anyway. Like I said, I hope you only watch this if you're willing to either be spoiled or if you've already read the books. Please let me know what you thought. I'm sorry that this is an all over the place review, but it's kind of how I tend to talk, guys. I'm sorry. Bye. Have fun. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want.